In the dead of night, a silent flyer takes to the skies. It's the fruit bat, a creature of the dark and an unsuspecting carrier of one of the world's deadliest pathogens. This isn't the beginning of a horror movie. It's the real-life story of the Nipah virus. First identified in Malaysia in 1999, this virus has since caused sporadic, deadly outbreaks across Asia, from Singapore to Bangladesh and India. Each dot on this map represents a community thrown into a state of emergency, a story of loss, and a warning for the future. So, what is this invisible enemy, and how does it make the jump from a harmless-looking bat to humans, causing devastation in its wake? The journey of the Nipah virus is a chilling example of how easily a pathogen can cross the species barrier. It all begins with our nocturnal friend, the fruit bat. These bats are the natural reservoir for the virus, meaning they can carry it without getting sick themselves. They travel far and wide, and as they feed on fruits like mangoes, figs, or dates, they can contaminate them with their saliva, urine, or droppings. This is where the first link in the chain is forged. The most well-known pathway involves an intermediate host. In the first Malaysian outbreak, that host was the pig. Pigs living on farms located near fruit bat habitats would consume fruit contaminated by the bats. The virus then adapted and spread rapidly within the pig population. From there, it was a short leap to humans. Farm workers and abattoir employees who came into close contact with these infected pigs, handling their tissues and respiratory secretions, were the first human victims. The virus had found a new host, but pigs aren't the only bridge. In countries like Bangladesh, a different, more direct route has been identified. Here, the culprit is often a local delicacy, raw date palm sap. Villagers collect this sweet sap as it drips from cuts made in the trees overnight. Unfortunately, these same trees are often visited by fruit bats who can't resist a sugary drink. They lick the sap, contaminating the collection pots with their virus-laden saliva. When people drink this raw, unpasteurized sap, they are directly ingesting the Nipah virus. It's a simple, almost pastoral scene, yet it conceals a deadly risk. Once the virus has made the jump into a human, a new and even more terrifying chapter begins: human-to-human transmission. This is what makes Nipah a particularly grave concern for global health authorities. The virus isn't as contagious as the flu or the common cold, but it can spread through close contact with an infected person's bodily fluids. This includes respiratory droplets from coughing and sneezing, as well as contact with blood or urine. This puts family members, caregivers, and especially healthcare workers at extremely high risk. Imagine caring for a sick loved one, only to contract the very illness you're trying to fight. In hospital settings without strict infection control measures, one patient can trigger a chain of infections, turning a place of healing into a hotspot for the outbreak. This ability to spread between people is the hallmark of a pathogen with pandemic potential. So, what does it actually feel like to be infected with Nipah? The initial signs are deceptive and can easily be mistaken for a common flu. It typically starts with a fever, persistent headaches, muscle pain, and a sore throat. Some people might experience vomiting and dizziness. For 3 to 14 days, it might seem like a severe but manageable illness. But then, the virus reveals its true, terrifying nature. The disease can rapidly progress to a much more severe phase. Patients often develop atypical pneumonia, leading to severe respiratory problems and acute respiratory distress. They struggle for every breath as their lungs fill with fluid. But the primary target of the Nipah virus is the central nervous system. It crosses the blood-brain barrier and attacks the brain itself, causing encephalitis, a severe inflammation of the brain tissue. When this happens, the symptoms become catastrophic. Patients can experience drowsiness, disorientation, and mental confusion. This can quickly escalate to seizures and, finally, a coma within just 24 to 48 hours. The fatality rate for Nipah virus is alarmingly high, ranging from 40% to a staggering 75%, depending on the outbreak and the availability of medical care. Even for the few who survive, the battle is far from over. Many are left with long-term neurological consequences, including persistent convulsions, personality changes, and chronic fatigue. It's a devastating outcome for what begins as a simple fever. The swift and brutal progression from flu-like symptoms to fatal encephalitis is what makes Nipah one of the most feared viruses on the planet. Given the terrifying nature of Nipah and the lack of a specific cure, prevention is truly our only weapon. The strategies are straightforward but require constant vigilance, especially in regions where the virus is known to exist. The first and most crucial step is to break the chain of transmission from animals to humans. This means avoiding contact with sick pigs or other potentially infected livestock. Farmers and abattoir workers in at-risk areas must use personal protective equipment, like gloves and masks, when handling animals or their tissues. A key cultural practice that needs to change is the consumption of raw date palm sap. Health organizations have launched extensive public awareness campaigns urging people to boil the sap before drinking it, or to protect the collection pots from bad access by using bamboo skirts or other coverings. It's about adapting traditions to new, unseen threats. Similarly, any fruit that shows signs of bat bites should be thoroughly washed and peeled, or better yet, discarded entirely. When an outbreak does occur, preventing human-to-human spread becomes the absolute priority. This is where our frontline healthcare workers become heroes. They must adhere to strict infection control protocols. This includes wearing full personal protective equipment gowns, gloves, masks, and eye protection when caring for suspected or confirmed Nipah patients. Isolating infected individuals is critical to containing the spread within a hospital or community. Safe burial practices, where contact with the body of the deceased is minimized, are also essential to prevent post-mortem transmission. And, of course, basic hygiene practices that we've all become familiar with, like frequent and thorough hand washing with soap and water, remain one of the simplest yet most effective tools we have to protect ourselves and others. The story of Nipah virus is a stark reminder of our vulnerability in a world where the boundaries between human and animal habitats are increasingly blurred. While outbreaks have so far been localized, the potential for a wider spread is a serious concern for global health experts. This isn't just a problem for Malaysia or Bangladesh. It's a problem for all of us. Viruses don't respect borders. A single infected traveler could carry Nipah to a new continent in less than a day, potentially igniting a new, more widespread outbreak in a population with no immunity. This is why the call for global health vigilance is more urgent than ever. We need robust surveillance systems that can quickly detect and report unusual clusters of encephalitis or respiratory illness. We need to invest in strengthening healthcare infrastructure in vulnerable regions so they can safely manage cases and contain outbreaks at their source. Most importantly, we need to accelerate research. Scientists are working tirelessly to develop effective antiviral treatments and, crucially, a vaccine. But this work requires sustained funding and international collaboration. The Nipah virus is on the World Health Organization's list of priority diseases for research and development because of its epidemic potential. We cannot afford to be complacent. We must treat the threat of Nipah not as a distant problem, but as a clear and present danger to global health security. By investing in science, supporting our healthcare workers, and promoting public awareness, we can prepare ourselves to face this deadly virus and prevent the next pandemic before it even begins. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into science and health. Stay curious and stay safe.